The night was quiet in Maplewood, a small American town where nothing ever seemed to happen. But inside Jason's dimly lit room, something unusual was unfolding. He wasn't scrolling on his phone, he wasn't playing video games, he was staring at a book. Not just any book. This one carried a secret that none of his friends, not even his parents, could imagine. Jason didn't know it yet, but the moment he flipped that very first page, his life, and the lives of 2 others, would never be the same again. What started as a harmless habit was about to turn into the most unexpected journey of his teenage years. Jason Parker was 15 years old, a sophomore at Maplewood High. He was known for 2 things, his obsession with video games and his hatred for reading. His friends laughed whenever a teacher handed out novels, because Jason would always find a way to dodge the homework. But everything changed one rainy afternoon in class. Mrs. Thompson, his English teacher, had written a sentence on the board. "If you can read just 1 page a day, you can change the story of your life." Jason had scoffed at it. 1 page? What difference could that make? But the words stuck in his head like a riddle. That evening, while the rain tapped against his window, he picked up a dusty book from the shelf. It was a gift from his uncle, one he had never even opened. He held it in his hands, debating whether to even try. His phone buzzed with messages from his best friend, Emily Carter, asking him to come online for a quick game. But Jason ignored it for the first time. His fingers touched the rough edge of the paper, and he whispered, "Just 1 page. That's it." The words on the page were simple, but they stirred something in him. It wasn't the story itself, it was the feeling of stepping into another world, a world where he wasn't just Jason Parker, the kid who avoided homework. He was someone else. By the time he reached the end of that page, something unexpected happened. He wanted more. He flipped another page, then another. An hour later, he realized he had read 20 pages without stopping. When he finally put the book down, his heart was racing. Not because of the story, but because of the realization that maybe, just maybe, his teacher was right. 1 page really could start something bigger. The next day, Emily noticed the difference. "You look different," she said at lunch, raising an eyebrow. "Did you actually finish your homework for once?" Jason laughed nervously and shook his head. "Not exactly. I just read something last night. And it felt weird. But good." Emily smirked. Jason Parker, reading? Now that's suspicious. Neither of them knew then, but Emily's teasing remark would tie her fate to Jason's new habit in ways they couldn't imagine. And in the shadow of it all, another classmate, Ryan Miller, had begun to notice Jason's sudden change. 3 lives, 3 different paths, but soon, they would all collide. And it had all begun with just 1 page. Jason's new habit grew faster than he had expected. What started as 1 page became 2, then 10, and soon he was finishing whole chapters in a single night. His parents didn't notice at first, but Emily did. One afternoon in the school library, she caught him reading again. "Seriously, Jason," she whispered. "Since when did you replace Fortnite with books?" Jason shrugged, his eyes glued to the page. "I don't know. It's like, every page opens another door. And once you step in, you don't want to leave." Emily laughed, but deep down, she was impressed. This wasn't the Jason she had grown up with. Something was changing in him. But not everyone was amused. Ryan Miller, the tall, sharp-tongued student who dominated the debate club, had noticed Jason's growing confidence. Ryan had always seen Jason as the kid who stayed quiet in class, too lazy to participate. Now, suddenly, Jason was raising his hand, answering questions, even quoting lines from books. It bothered Ryan. One Friday, Mrs. Thompson announced, "The annual inter-school debate competition is next month. I want volunteers." Before Jason even realized what he was doing, his hand shot up. Emily gasped. "Jason! Did you just? But it was too late. The class erupted in whispers. Ryan smirked from across the room. Well, Ryan said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Looks like Parker finally decided to borrow a brain. Jason clenched his fist but stayed calm. Let's see who wins on stage. That night, Jason felt the weight of his decision. Could a boy who had hated books really stand against someone like Ryan, who had years of debating experience? His hands trembled as he opened another book. But instead of fear, he felt something stronger, determination. Every night, Jason read. Every day, he practiced speaking aloud. Emily supported him, staying late at school to throw mock arguments his way. Sometimes Jason won, sometimes he lost, but every time, he improved. Finally, the big day arrived. The auditorium buzzed with students, teachers, and parents. The topic was announced: do small habits make a big difference in life? Jason almost smiled. Fate itself seemed to be on his side. Ryan spoke first, his words sharp and polished. He argued with confidence, dismissing the idea of small habits as insignificant actions with no real impact. The audience clapped politely. Then it was Jason's turn. He walked to the stage, his heart pounding, Emily's encouraging smile flashing from the crowd. He began softly. A year ago, I hated reading. I thought one page couldn't change anything. But tonight, I stand here, not because I decided to become a debater overnight, but because I read one page, then another, then another. The room grew silent. Jason's voice grew stronger as he spoke of transformation, of how small habits build momentum, of how tiny steps create extraordinary journeys. By the end, the audience was leaning forward, hanging on his every word. When the applause came, it was thunderous. Jason had done it. Even Ryan looked shaken, though he forced a smirk. Later, as Jason stood backstage, Emily whispered, "See? I told you. One page made you unstoppable." Jason smiled, but he wasn't smiling for himself. He was smiling because he finally understood the truth: habits don't just shape your future, they shape who you are becoming, step by step, page by page. No change is too small. The little choices you make daily, the page you read, the glass of water you drink, the minute you spend learning, are the very steps that shape your destiny. Greatness doesn't come from giant leaps, but from small, consistent steps.